Good morning. Wherever you are right now, we're somewhere you don't ever want to be.
Locked inside HMP Cardiff, a Category B prison.
Within these walls, there's everyone from murderers to muggers, drug dealers to drunk drivers. The prison's full to capacity, 754 men locked up at Her Majesty's pleasure.
And 130 miles away in Stafford, Drake Hall semi-open prison. 260 women paying the price for their crimes, and 2/3 of them are mothers.
And with prison overcrowding, violence and short sentences very much in the public eye.
Join us for the next 5 mornings as Behind Bars takes a live look at life on the inside.
This is what 9:15 in the morning looks like if you're locked up in prison. And in just a minute, the officers behind me will begin a live search of one inmate's cell. It's all part of the prison's never-ending hunt for weapons, drugs and any kind of contraband.
And I'll be discovering why inmates in this prison workshop are being asked to hand-make furniture for some of the most dangerous criminals in Britain.
And up in Stafford, we'll meet Tracy. When she went to her first prison, she didn't have a drug problem. But within weeks of being locked up, she was using heroin. This is cell block B, and the average prison cell here, which stood alongside measures just 13 foot by 7. Almost half of them are home to 2 prisoners. It's the nearest that inmates come to having any personal space, but of course there's no such thing as privacy in a prison. About once every 3 months, every prisoner has their cell virtually taken apart in a search that can last for 4 hours, and they never know when it's coming. I've got Dave Jones and Daryl Jones, the officers here, are about to carry out this search. You're about to start?
Yeah.
Okay, you go ahead whilst we're starting on this. Now, you won't tell the prisoner that you're coming?
We won't, no. It's a full cell search we carried out this morning. So we're going to identify the prisoner, ask him if he's got any unauthorised articles in the cell, and we would normally carry out then a full search on the prisoner. And we're going to both go into the cell, identify a stellar area, and we're going to search the cell.
So the key here is surprise. If you actually know that somebody's got something, or you're given a tip-off at something...
We're not going to give a tip-off. We're not going to knock the door and say, hello, here we are. We're straight away into the cell, and the surprise is the element.
And what is the reaction of the prisoners when that happens?
Usually startled, shocked. What have I done? They're going to nick in your gov. Some are a bit edgy. We try and relax them, use their own IEP skills. The settler prisoner don't tell them that, there's nothing wrong. We're just going to go through his cell.
OK. We have another officer who's going to come in and stay with the prisoner at the moment. OK. That's it. The prisoner's just gone off to the side there, and what we're going to do is go in and go ahead. Don't let me interrupt you. You go ahead and do the search, and we'll come with you and see what you do as you go along. How do you start?
Right. If we make this...
What we're going to do is make this sterile area. So we'll search this. See that there's nothing in there.
A sterile area. What are you saying? That there's one area that you
we
create.
can put everything on here.
Right.
Okay.
And
you know that this is clear.
And are mattresses a normal place where stuff is hidden away?
Yeah,
it's everywhere, son. It could be mattresses, bedposts, shoes.
Let's bring the other camera in, because the guys are working at this end at the moment. We'll bring you in at this end. Obviously, you're going to see the camera, but at least it will give you some view of the fact that we are actually in a cell in a prison. The guys... so, go back to that we were saying, that you create a sterile area and you're looking for... Well, give us an example of things that you found recently.
Mobile phones, drugs.
Mobile phones?
Mobile phones, yeah.
Takes mobile phones in there.
That's extraordinary.
That was tucked in his trousers. So when we did the full body search, he handed me the mobile phone.
Now, do you only go in and do searches when you have been given a tip-off that something has happened or there's something in there, or do you just randomly do it anyway?
Well, we work in the security department. Our intelligence-led searches are for specific items. So we would be searching for the likes of hooch, we would be searching for drugs, mobile phones. So therefore, we will just specifically target a area. All right, so we search all the cells.
So how many searches are you likely to do in a day in a prison like this?
Our department would search 4, 5.
4 or 5 a day.
And what's the success rate in finding stuff in a search like that?
It depends. It's, you know, these have got hours, they've got days to think of where they can hide things.
Yeah.
So, you know, minute drugs, you know, small little piece of drugs, it's
They carry on,
difficult to find.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
difficult
thanks.
to find them. But with the likes of mobile phones or hooch, we're just looking for, you know, containers with a hooch. Mobile phones, we're looking for, they can hide them.
Let me go through some, because looking here at the prisoner's bathroom effects. Now, what do you look at when you go, for example, take a toothpaste? What are you looking at?
Everything, they can put things in there, so we would open this, put it, just check.
Feel
that
it all the way
it's-
through?
yeah, feel it right way through. With the likes of these, they can screw the top.
Unscrew the bottom, so you're looking to find...
It's anywhere, you know, we're looking at everything.
And again, so earlier we were talking about this, and you'll actually smell to say that what's in there is what...
With this, we can see through it. That's, you know, that's quite easy. You could see through that to see whether there's anything in there. Everything else, we can... If we thought, for instance, that there was something hidden in this system, we've got the tools that we can come over and take the front off, and we can look behind the system.
So you're ready to go? How long will the search take?
And as long as it takes. You
As
know,
long as it takes.
It depends on how much is in the cell. If there's not a lot in the cell, obviously it's not going to take so long. But if there's a lot in that cell, it's going to come across, it could take hours.
OK, well, this search is going to continue whilst we're here, and we'll come back to this later on. We'll let you get on with your work, and
That's fine.
in the meantime, we'll hop over to Nadia.
Thanks, Nick. Now, more than half of male prisoners in England and Wales have children under the age of 18. So, how can you continue to be a father when there's razor wire and a massive wall between you and your loved ones?
I've been here 19 months now, I'm going on 20. When I first came here, oh God, it's a world of difference. You must imagine from never having been in problems of any sort, not even a speeding ticket, and all of a sudden you're straight to prison. From 1 minute you're free, walking around, doing what you please, and next minute you're just behind some big doors, bang, keys slamming, door flaps slamming, you know, people shouting down the landing. My first week was a nightmare because it was Christmas week, going up to it was the month going up to Christmas, and it was the day they arrested me on my son's birthday anyway, so that was part of the bad thing. Most guys think it's just a laugh, you know, but that's the guys who haven't got nothing on the outside, nothing to go back to, so they rather stay here. They got more friends here. For me, it's a bit different because I got something to go home to. I got my family, you know, and I quite miss them.
Prisoners are allowed to use the phone twice a day. It's Bobby's only way to keep in touch with his family and try to be a good dad.
I'm using the phone it's like a deterrent to the kids. What's he done? When his mother say to her, you know, when your dad calls out, I'm gonna tell him what you've done, and I could hear my daughter in the background, Dad, I didn't mean it, you know what I mean? So it works. When I came to prison, my son was about 3 months old. So when I called and I said, can I speak to I said, let me speak to my son. He comes, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. You know, he wasn't even talking when I left, you know, when I came to prison. So you don't want to really break that bond with the kids. What's he saying? Put him on the phone. Hello, Levi. Hey. To a young man, it seems like on the phone you're there. You see, when you use the phone, it's like, if I'm talking to my son, it's like I'm in the room. I love you, right? I miss you. Bye-bye. I'm responsible for my children, just as I'm responsible for my actions. So whatever happens to me is my responsibility. I should have been the one to have taken precaution against this happening to me in the first place. But you just never realize how easy it is for you to, you know, get caught up in something that will take you away from your children.
Now, in the hands of a dangerous or disturbed prisoner, everyday items can all too easily be turned into deadly weapons. Recently, we heard the horrific story of the prisoner at Feltham Young Offenders Institution who was beaten to death by his cellmate who used the leg from a wooden table. But this prison workshop in Cardiff is helping to reduce that kind of tragedy. Hi, Neil. How's that? What are you doing here?
Well, this prison workshop is predominantly involved in the production of cardboard furniture, as you can see, excuse me, for use in sensitive areas in other prisons, like the segregation unit, healthcare centres.
So basically they can't do harm to themselves.
No, where conventional furniture would not be appropriate because of health and safety issues.
Now, tell me a bit about work and prison. Does everybody work? Does everybody have a job here?
Every convicted prisoner is required by law to work if required. Unfortunately, we don't have enough work to employ everybody inside the prison, but the work ethic is important that we instill that into the prisoners each and every time. You have to remember that a lot of prisoners have never worked outside prison before, and this sometimes is their first experience of work.
What about wages? Do they get wages?
They get paid, yes. There's a varying rates that depending upon experience and the time that they spend in the workshop. The lads here, for example, working on this will earn somewhere around £7.50, £9 a week. And
what about if you're sick? Do you get benefit like you would on the outside?
Yes, they do. Exactly the same as outside. As long as they are verified by the healthcare staff that they are unable to work and excuse work, they get paid sick pay while they're off.
And if you're an OAP?
Same again.
Really?
Yes, yeah.
What about if you refuse to work?
That then is a matter for the prison discipline, and the governor would deal with that. An outright refusal to work will not be tolerated.
What about if you're not good at your job? Can you get sacked? Can you get promoted? Can you get demoted?
I would like to think that there are varying levels of skill amongst the prison workforce, and I can't remember a time where we've sacked a prisoner simply because he may not be good at the job. It is my job to bring him up to that standard and level where he can actually perform the task.
Andrew, now you've had a couple of jobs in the prison, haven't you?
Yes.
Why have you been moved on from one job to the next? Because this is considered a good job, isn't it?
Yeah, it was better than packing the screws. You know, makes the day go quicker, and obviously you get paid more doing this job.
Okay.
So.
And what is the pay like? What do you get for this a week?
This, I'm on £9 on this. On the tables over there, I was on £5, but I only just started on the tables. It do go up to £7.50 on the tables, but...
So as you get on better, you get better pay. Just very quickly for us, Neil, you've been in the prison service 27 years. Yeah. You've seen people come and go. You've seen people from 16 to 30 years old. How do you see your role? Just very quickly for us.
Well, sometimes it borders on the paternal. Because
really?
It's inevitable over 27 years. I've seen lads at 16, now in their 40s. Unfortunately, have come back to prison time and time again. Relationships will be formed like that.
And as you said to me, it's making the little steps, isn't it? That's what's important for you.
Every little bit helps.
All right, Neil. Thank you very much. Thank you, Andrew. Thank
thanks.
you.
Prisoner Samantha, an early release.
Well, I've got your parole answer here, so it's just come through.
I can't stop crying.
As well as being live here in Cardiff, I've been up in Stafford seeing a very different type of prison. Drake Hall is a semi-open prison for women where the prisoners have keys to their own cells and can wander freely around the prison grounds. 9 out of 10 women in the prison have been convicted of crimes involving drugs. Sam's life changed forever the day she decided to become a drugs mule.
I agreed to go to Jamaica because my partner was there. And I couldn't afford my ticket to go myself, and someone offered me a chance to go and obviously earn some money along the way, but I think it's a wrong choice, wrong decision.
When Sam was sent down by the judge for 5 years, it was the first time she'd ever been inside a prison.
My first night was a nightmare. It was a nightmare. I couldn't stop crying. I'm not ashamed to admit that. I was scared. I felt bad. I felt I'd ashamed my mum more than anyone. I'd let my mum down.
JD 8136, Marie Safi, TW 2912J Wickham.
Alone and scared in her cell, Sam did something she'd never done before. She began to draw.
There are times when it gets hard, and I just shut my door. And I do 9 times out of 10, I'll pick up a piece of paper and a pencil or a piece of chalk. And it gets it out instead of taking it out on other people. Because it's not fair. No one else deal with my moods.
During her 2.5 years in prison, Sam has had time to face up to the seriousness of her crime.
I look at things differently now to what I did before, and it's opened my eyes to how drugs can affect people. And it's not only them, it's their families and the community that are around them as well. And it makes you realise what part I could have played in that, in ruining someone's lives.
Halfway through her 5-year sentence, Sam has applied for parole, but she knows there's a real chance she won't get it.
I don't want to think that I'm going to get a yes, because if I don't, then it's going to gut me. I'm going to be gutted. I'm not sure what the outcome is going to be. Then if I get it, it's a bonus. If I don't, then I can deal with it then.
We'll see later whether the parole board grants Samantha an early release. As I said, we're here live in Cardiff Prison. I'm with Governor Tidball, who's interrupted his tour around the prison to come and have a chat to us. Thank you very much for the access that you've given us. It's extraordinary. How is the prison and the staff reacting to us being here?
You're very welcome. Certainly, staff find it exciting, particularly the fact it's live. But we've got a story to tell. Prison service has a story to tell. It's not always accurately reported. But I'm sure the public will want to hear about how seriously we take the public protection issues, reducing reoffending agenda, and actually providing a service to the customer out there as well as the customer in here.
Well, I know we've interrupted you at the moment. During the course of the week, we'll be learning a lot more about the prison, and we're going to catch up with you at the end of the week to have a chat about the issues that we find during the week. But I know I need to let you get on, so thank you very much,
Okay.
and we'll catch up with you later.
Cymru.
Extraordinary, genuinely extraordinary access that they've given us. They haven't tried to gag us or choose where we go with our stories. We've had absolute and perfect access all round. Now, as I say, I'm here. 754 prisoners in the cells that are divided into 6 wings. C wing, for example, is for prisoners undergoing detox from drugs or alcohol. E wing is for prisoners serving life sentences. But this is B wing. It has 75 cells, 100. Look down at here. 129 prisoners, and although it may not look much, within the context of the prison here, it's the better end of it. This area of B wing is exclusively for inmates who have behaved themselves whilst serving their time in Cardiff. Now, I want to go down and find Dave Myers, who's around, who's going to give me a little... Dave.
Hello, Nick. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you very much. You're going to give us a little tour around and explain some of the features that you actually find. The thing that struck me straight away is all the netting.
That's safety netting for obvious reasons. Obviously, if anybody... we have, not here, but have had in the past, inmates jumping off landings, trying to injure themselves. It's to save them, basically.
Okay. Now, why is it empty at the moment? The prisoners go off to work? Or?
Yeah, we've got a current roll here of 129 prisoners. Everybody goes to work on this wing.
Right.
Okay, whether it's in the workshops, resettlement, education, anything like that. That's why it's so quiet, actually. On the wing itself, numerous things they can do for association periods, pool tables, computers to play cards on, stuff like that. Got the recess here where you can shower every morning.
These are the. I tell you what. Why don't you come and look at the shower process?
Lovely.
The shower area. It doesn't look a great deal, I have to say. Look, these are plainly. There's the thing you notice is obviously no sharp objects, no.
No, obviously, no. Like I said, the lads use these first thing as they come out of a morning. They come down to the staff. They book the meal for the following day. and you get the milk from the staff of the morning to have with the cereal. Once that's done, for instance, this morning, gymnasium come on the wing, took them off to gymnasium, the other lads went to work, and once the gymnasium's finished, they take them back to work. So basically, the staff here are then profiled of the work in the prison.
We just
and that's why
passed
it's
the
a
prisoner
client.
who's working. That's Jason, isn't it? Would you like to come over and join us, Jason? And I want to talk to you about... you're working here cleaning the floors, not a job you would do on the outside, presumably?
No.
And so does it help to do something like this, or to actually have a job and work here?
Yeah, it does help to have a job and work here.
Why?
Everyone needs to work, don't they? When in here, so I mean, it's not just that, a cleaner's job. We get to keep the wing clean. So I mean, we keep it to a good level of cleanliness in the jail.
Now, you're on an indeterminate sentence. Now, it matters to you how you act in here, because that will change the sentence, is that right? Or do you have the potential?
No, I don't suppose it'll change the sentence, but like it's better to show a good level of change. I mean, if you really mean it, that you want to change. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Do you reckon you can con the officers here that you're changing, or do they know?
Nah, they know. They know. Genuinely.
And people say that the prison is the easy option. Now, you're here scrubbing the floors. Is it an easy option?
No, it's not an easy option. It's not an easy option being away from your family. So, I mean, they won't get to come in to see you once a week for an hour, especially if you've got kids. It's hard.
Okay, well, we're going to be talking about that later on. I'll let you get back to your cleaning. Thank you very much. I think we've run out of time on this, and I actually wanted to get to have a look at a cell. Maybe we can sort this out again.
Yeah, no worries.
Show me around a cell, and you've got specialist cells for suicide watch prisoners.
That's correct, yeah.
All right, there's so much here to see, and this access is extraordinary. It does feel very, very claustrophobic, don't you think, Nadia?
Oh, yeah, they definitely start to close in on you, those walls, don't they? Right, now to an area that is very contentious and has been very much in the news. The majority of the prisoners here will not serve the full sentence handed down to them by the judge. If they behave themselves, most prisoners can apply to the parole board for early release on licence after serving only half their sentence. At Drake Hall Prison in Stafford, Samantha is waiting to find out the result of her application. But it's worth noting that despite what you may have read, less than half are successful. Before being in prison, Sam had no idea she had a talent for art. It's given her a confidence she never had before.
And I was commissioned to do a painting for one of the education managers there of one that I'd already done, and the money went to a charity, which makes me feel good, and knowing that someone wanted to buy it.
With that newfound self-esteem, Sam's been able to take up other opportunities at the prison.
With the courses that I've done, because I've done numerous education courses with IT and to basic skills like parent craft and citizenship and healthy living. With all that, it shows that you're trying to better yourself. So I think that'd look better on your parole reports than being sat down doing nothing throughout your whole sentence, because you're bettering yourself.
Today, Sam will find out if her application for parole has been successful. If it is, she'll be on the phone to her mum, but she knows there's a chance it won't happen.
If I don't, then obviously I'll call my mum as well and let her know. It's just not going to be the best of phone calls. And hide away in my room again.
After all the waiting, Sam's finally called in to hear the decision of the parole board.
Come in, Samantha. Sit yourself down. Well, I've got your parole answer here, so it's just come through. Panel of the Parole Board considered your application on the 6th of June 2006 and found you suitable for early release on licence. Okay, so you have been approved parole. Happy with that?
Yeah.
I've normally got
I'm going to cry now.
Have you had a resettlement leave yet, Samantha?
Yeah.
So you can apply for another resettlement overnight release. You must come back with enough time for us to do the discharge process, so I'll give yourself a good sort of 5-7 days to come back to, okay? So if you put an application, put it into me and put pre-parole on the top of it, then we'll get that sorted out for you. Okay, this is your copy, Samantha. You can keep that, read that. It's got all the reasons on there why they've actually granted you the parole decision.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Straight back to work now.
I'm on my break now.
Okay.
Hello, Mum. I'm coming home. Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna call home in a bit. Yeah. I can't stop crying.
This is a safe cell. You can hear the echo. Come in and have a look. This is where they put prisoners who are in danger or on suicide watch. And this is where we were hoping to get to earlier. We'll try and bring you a chat about this cell later on in the week. Unlike this Category B prison, Drake Hall Women's Prison is a semi-open prison. Towards the end of their sentences, prisoners there can apply to do community work on the outside. The prison believes this helps prisoners get real jobs when they leave. And getting work means there's much less chance of reoffending, as Nadia found out when she visited the prison.
Now, Lisa, you're going off out to work today.
Yeah.
Do voluntary work at the stables.
Yeah, that's right.
What does it mean to you, being able to do that?
Well, it means a lot because it's a really privileged position. You have to go through a really big procedure to be able to be granted it with the governor's approval and all things like that. So
A big responsibility, because you can't mess up, can you?
No.
Do you get nervous about that sometimes when you're out? Like, say you were going to be late or something like that?
It's not much of a problem because we get picked up by the prison driver, so we haven't really got the issue of being late, but it would be if I had that problem.
And do you think it's important for you so that you get started a bit on the outside world for when you're eventually released?
Yeah, it's good experience.
Yeah.
It is good experience.
Well, listen, I'll let you get on because you can't be late for work.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Lisa.
Now, Dawn, I was just talking to Lisa about her. Now, her going out to work, she has to have gone through many processes to be able to...
Oh, yes.
Tell me a bit about that.
Well, obviously, we have responsibilities to a numerous number of people, themselves, other prisoners, employers, that it really is quite an in-depth process, and it starts really when they come first through reception. That's when it actually starts to get to the point of out working. They obviously have to do a certain amount of their sentence. Then when they are eligible, provided everything else is fitted into place, full risk assessments are done, prospective employers, existing employers are all contacted and interviews take place. It really is quite a thorough system that has to take place before they get out the gate.
And you're extremely strict. Basically, if they mess up, this is very much seen as a privilege, and that would be taken away. Is that right?
We have to be very strict because we're dealing with outside parties, so we have enormous responsibility to those parties. But we are also very aware of the outcomes that we want to achieve. You know, this is about when they leave prison and how we can help them to adjust to get jobs when they get out, you know, all sorts of things, you know, from getting up on a morning, it's their responsibility to how they interact with other people.
Gradually handing back responsibilities
Exactly.
as they're able to get on out there.
They never start the voluntary work on full time. A number of reasons for that. We need to monitor it. We're not just going to shove them out there. Some people haven't got the coping mechanisms to allow that, but we start them off on a couple of days and gradually build that up so that when they're at the point where they can go on to paid employment, that they're more able to deal with them situations.
And just briefly, on a personal level, how is it for you seeing people go out and really achieve something?
On a personal level, we get, the whole team does, personal officers, that's why we're here. It's resettlement, you know, and that's the idea. We get a real buzz from it. It's really, really enjoyable. They have very good support here. The Governor's very proactive in this, and we've got a good team behind us here. So.
Okay, well listen, Dawn, thank you very much. And Lisa, have a great day at work.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So you're not allowed to bring anything back with you, okay? So, Officer Kelly, I'll rub you down.
Later, behind bars, meets the mother who was first given heroin in prison and found she couldn't kick the habit.
My mum said to me once, if you loved your kids, you'd do it for them. And my answer was, well, doesn't that tell you the strong grip it's got on me then? I born them babies, do you know what I mean? They're everything to me. But heroin just wins.
A prison like this is plainly no place for a young child. But once you're inside here, there's a decision to make. Do you bring the children into this environment to visit or protect them by keeping them away? Each month, prisoners are allowed between 2 and 6 visits. Prisoner Bobby Williamson is in the library to record a bedtime story for his son.
And he can listen to my voice reading him a story at night. It's a really good thing, isn't it? I really like doing it. It's part of just maintaining the contact with your children, I suppose. It's like you're there when you're not really there. I think I'll do this one for my son. Hello, Levi. How are you doing? I hope you're behaving yourself. Hope you're not giving Mummy too much stress now. I'll be talking to you about Willie the Wizard. But we ain't going to say Willie, we're going to say Levi the Wizard. How's that? So you're the wizard in this one, okay?
The storybook dad scheme is another way that Bobby tries to be a family man despite his 5-year sentence. But nothing keeps him more focused on the future than a visit from his wife and son.
Yes.
The feeling you get when you stood here is like apprehension, really. Is the person going to turn up? Because sometimes they don't turn up and then you'll be sat in the corner and wait and then nobody turns up.
Prison visits are strictly monitored and there's a vigorous search policy. At times, visitors can feel more like prisoners.
It's a bit chaotic, but it's a structured chaos, if you like. Some guys will say, no, I don't want to see my kids. I can understand that, but I can also understand that your kids need to see you. Hello. How was my baby? Can I have some? The thing is, right, I've got about 2 years left here. Well, maximum 2 years. You see, the heart wrench and the emotions are coming to see them every week, and I'd rather have that than sit in prison and never see them at all and just talk to them on the phone.
Ring me later.
Yeah, I will. I'll ring about 7 o'clock. Okay. Can I have one? Can I have one? The worst part of the visit is the fact that they have to sit while you walk away from them. I know it's for security reasons and all that, but to me it just seems like you're the one who is vilified over and over again. Your heart hurts every time you have to walk away from him, you know, after the visit. But I'll do it again and again and again because that's part of my responsibility. My responsibility still remains for my family.
Now, there are many terms used for prisoners, some nice, some not so nice, and the same goes for officers. In the comedy series Porridge, Ronnie Barker always referred to Mackay and Barraclough as the screws. But where's the term come from, Neil?
The term originated in the Victorian era when prisoners under punishment in the cell were given a meaningless task to perform.
Right.
This usually involved a cranking machine, which consisted of a drum, usually filled with sand or water to make it heavy, and the prisoners had to turn a handle to turn the drum so many times a day. If the jailer or warder thought that they were doing it too quickly, he would come into the cell and turn a screw on the drum, making the handle harder to turn, and that's where the term came from.
Well, how things have changed. You're not doing any of that here in this particular screen factory, are you?
Far from it now.
OK, well, listen, thank you very much, Neil.
much
Thanks for
indeed.
everything today. And now we're going to go over to Nick.
Tracy was 25 when she first was sent to prison, but within hours of being inside, she was using heroin for the first time. Tracy's now an addict, a repeat offender, and currently in Drake Hall Prison in Stafford.
I went to prison, Section 47 assault charge, because I got into a fight one night after a pub, and the Crown Court sentenced me and my little sister. And that was on my mum's birthday, and both of us got jail. And I started using drugs in there. Somebody suggested that it might help me sleep, and it did. Yeah, and just went on from there.
In no time, T had developed a taste for heroin.
And there I was in a cell by myself. And I liked how it made me feel at first, warm, safe.
Come on, we'll chase your rubbish.
When I got out of jail, I started hanging around with the girls that I'd met in the prison, so they introduced me where to go score the stuff.
You all right? You're not scowling at me anymore.
And then when you score the stuff, obviously it's not socially acceptable, so you don't mix with people that you used to mix with. You pull away from your family, you pull away from people of regular everyday life, and you start to mix with these people I'd consider to be the underground. You can never satisfy it. You can spend £500 on crack cocaine and still want another pipe. You can never get enough, ever. It's a scary thing, and not to be able to control yourself and what you're doing. You do things you would never dream of doing in your right mind. You hurt your family, and you hurt yourself more than anything. And you look back, especially when you're in jail and you reflect on it, you're quite ashamed of yourself. Yeah.
Morning.
Morning.
Just give us your number, T.
My boys, they were the centre of my world before heroin, and I resent heroin for that. I want to build a relationship with them again. I wasn't anything unless I was a mum to my kids. Prefer not to really talk about it much. Please.
She's on 10 mils.
10 mils?
I'm on a methadone reduction.
Yeah.
Like, they'll maintain you in jail as long as you need, 30, 40 mil, whatever. But some of us, like myself, choose to cut down. I'm down to 10 mil.
Yeah.
It's just enough to keep my body from being in any pain.
Okay.
Thanks.
Paul's talking about love, and he says, and now I will show you the most excellent way. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
Love never fails.
Go on.
Sorry.
All right.
God gives promises that he'll never leave you, and no matter what, unconditional, and I think that's what I need. Like, it's almost as if I need somebody always hanging over me, watching over me, and he's there. And I can't find that anywhere else in my life except for with God, so I feel complete. I'm just going to say a prayer quick. My mum said to me once, if you loved your kids, you'd do it for them. And my answer was, well, doesn't that tell you the strong grip it's got on me then? I born them babies, do you know what I mean? They're everything to me. But heroin just wins. I don't know why, but not this time. That's it. But don't touch it at all. It can't hurt me, can it? Or my people, or my family, or nothing else. Yeah.
It's a hell of a worrying thought that someone can become a drug addict whilst in prison, especially when this is supposed to be one of the most, when prisons are supposed to be the most secure areas. I've got Head of Security, Elford Jones, with me here. Now, you're in a prison, Head of Security, plainly, that's a very important job. How do drugs end up in such a secure place?
Unfortunately, most of the drugs that come into the prison are coming through the courts. When prisoners are sent to prison, the drugs are coming in internally prisoners either swallowing them or by other means. And unfortunately, we don't have the authority to search internally. There is evidence that some drugs are attempted to be brought through on visits. Some drugs originally used to come over the prison wall.
Used to come over the prison wall?
Over the prison wall in a tangerine or a tennis ball, and even in one instance, a dead pigeon thrown over the wall with drugs inside it. The target was to get the drugs into the exercise yard where there'd be 50 or 60 prisoners who would mill around and quickly take the drugs.
Right.
We solved that problem by moving the exercise yard from the perimeter of the jail and putting the exercise yard right in the centre of the jail. In effect, it stopped people then throwing drugs over the wall and hitting the exercise yard.
It's an extraordinary revelation for those of us that obviously know nothing, that didn't know about prisons until we came here, that drugs are in prisons. Did you accept that there are drugs in prisons?
There are drugs in prison. We know there are drugs in prison. What we can say is that 80% of people that come into prison have a drug or alcohol-related problem. When we run a mandatory drug testing programme, currently in Cardiff we're testing at about 10% positive. That means that we're doing something right.
So hang on, you're saying 80% of the people come in have a drug problem, only 10% test positive when they're in here. So
That's
that
right.
is a reduction.
Absolutely.
But 80% of people coming into the prison
Absolutely.
have drug problems.
Drugs are probably the major issue at the moment for the criminal justice system. And dealing with drugs would obviously help to reduce crime in a big way.
It's extraordinary. We're learning all the time. Alfred, thank you very much. We're actually running out of time on the programme, so I'm going to nip downstairs. Thank you for talking to us. Maybe get a chance to talk more about this later on.
Thank you.
Let me nip downstairs because I do want to check with the other Joneses. That was Alfred Jones. There's Di Jones and Darryl Jones. It's nice and easy working in Cardiff because you actually got... Di, can I have a word?
Yeah, certainly, yeah.
Smashing. There are obviously the self-search still going on there. How's it gone?
It's gone okay. We didn't have any particular intelligence in this particular cell today. It was just what we call a regular cell, full cell search. Right. We've gone in here, we've looked through all the cell, haven't found any unauthorised articles at all. It's been easy for us today because this cell's actually been a clean and tidy cell. So it's not getting your hands so dirty.
And the smart, so, but the kind. I just wanted to go back over it. How, mobile phones are one of the main contraband items. What else would you find in cells that contraband?
Mobile phones, obviously, small amounts of drugs, because we're not looking for kilos and stuff, we're looking for grams and ounces, which will be hidden in little wraps, maybe hidden in marble tins, sugar bags, anywhere in the cell, in soles of the shoes. Anywhere on the prisoner, basically, or in his cell. Okay, and you guys will be doing some more later on. Well, yeah. Look, thank you very much for allowing us to come in and actually see this. Of course, I have to tell you, one thing I can't get across to you is just how intense it feels being surrounded. I'm actually sweating because of being surrounded by the jails, the noise. We'll try and get that across to you. We'll, of course, be back live in Cardiff Jail tomorrow morning, where we'll be looking at how the prison copes when inmates commit suicide. Do join us tomorrow. I think you'll agree it's an extraordinary insight into the prisons in our country today. Thank you again to the staff.